6 years ago, I started making trips to Turkey, right? And I started going to Turkey because it was screening extremely cheap as a market. It was screening as the cheapest market in the world. And I also went there because I have a good friend there who's kind of die-hard Ben Graham type deep value investor. I think he's now like the second largest fund manager in Turkey. And he was much smaller then. And I told him, listen, I'd like to come to Istanbul. And if you're okay with it, I'd love to visit the companies in your portfolio. And he said, oh, that'd be a lot of fun, Mohnish, why don't you come? So I said, here are the rules. Don't take me to see any businesses where you don't have money invested. Okay. And I want to start with the business where you have the most conviction, the highest stake out of the portfolio you manage, and then work our way down, right? He said, yeah, fine, no problem, right? So when I started visiting these companies in Turkey, the currency was very unstable. Inflation was extremely high, and all the foreign investors were running to the exits. Mass panic, extreme panic. So I focused on businesses where the currency is not relevant. So there are some businesses, which I'll get to in a second, where inflation and currencies don't matter because it'll kind of work itself out. And the second thing that I did is when I visited there is I did no work on these companies. I decided I would do work on these companies after I met them. I said, at least let me meet them, know a little bit about them, then I'll do the work. So on my second visit in 2019, whenever we were driving to a company, I would start asking my friend Haider questions. Okay, what's the company? Who are they? And what's the market cap? What do they do? And all that, right? I'm just trying to kind of understand just basics. Because I said, once we meet, then I'll do the work. So he said, oh, Mohnish, this company we're going to meet, a company called Reysas, its market cap is $16 million, 1.6. Liquidation value is 800 million. And they rent out warehouses to like Fortune 500 companies. So I said, it's trading at 2% of value. Is it a fraud? So he said, no, I have money in it. It's not a fraud. I said, why is it so cheap? He said, it's Turkey. Everything is cheap. Yeah. So I visited the father and son who run the company, and then I spent the afternoon visiting their warehouses. And you could have gone to any broker. They had like 60 properties. And you could have just said, okay, these are the properties. What is the value? The brokers would have told you the value of these properties is $1 billion. There was 200 million of debt. And the liquidation value of that business was 800 million. So then I thought 16 million, there's going to be no stock to buy. It's illiquid. For $8 million, I got 1/3 of the company, which we still own today. The market cap now is over $1 billion.
Wow. And
the currency has collapsed. Like when I invested at that time, it was 5 lira to the dollar. It's now 36 lira to the dollar.
Wow. Yeah.
So in lira, our returns are infinite. Okay, if I don't even calculate what is it in lira. But in dollars, that market cap went from 16 million to $1 billion. But now the liquidation value of that business is more than 2 billion. So they've actually increased the value of the business.
What do they do?
They rent out large warehouses.
Okay.
So IKEA, Amazon, Carrefour, Toyota, Mercedes, all of these people have rented. So it's a very boring, simple business. It was just extremely mispriced. Templeton Funds, at that time in 2019, sold me 5% of the company for $1 million, okay? Because someone in New York told them, exit Turkey, right? So what I discovered is that I was just buying the business. I didn't do a lot of work then because the value gap was so large that I didn't really need to understand a lot more detail about it. Over the years, I met them several times and I studied the business more. And what I discovered is that it's not just a cheap asset. They were very good capital allocators. They were very creative. They had entered a number of different businesses and they had always ended up being number 1, number 2 market share. So this business basically is a business that we will not sell. The funds will not sell this business. We will sell when the founders sell. Okay. When I meet the founders, I meet them once a year. I tell them this company Reysas is my family business. I'm not in the management. I'm not on the board. I don't have any say in the business. I don't want any say in the business. You guys keep running it the way you want, because if you get me involved, it will be worse. And I don't have to do anything. That's the other beautiful thing about public equity investing. You have to do no heavy lifting. You don't need to run the business or any of that. And you don't need too many of these in a lifetime, right? So if you end up, Charlie Munger used to say that you're going to get a trip to the pie counter very few times in your life. When you go to the pie counter, you have to load up on a lot of pie.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
And because you're not going to get too many trips to the pie counter. So